Hello, I'm Antony. Hi. I'm currently running for independent councillor for the Ayresome ward. I just wanted to take a few minutes to share a number of key areas that I think are really critical for the people of my ward to know and understand, and for people across Middlesbrough who are actively looking to make some critical decisions within these local elections. Firstly, a little bit about me. I was born in Winniebanks, 1983. Grew up through the 80s and the 90s in the area. Attended, obviously, as you can imagine, all the schools, Winniebanks, Ackland Grange, local community, youth clubs. And it's an area that I love, an area that I'm really passionate about, that my family have resided here for many years before I've been here and continue to do so. But from a very young age, as young as 15, 16, I knew that at some point I would be coming and taking a proactive and political approach to what is going on within my local community, and to also assist and help across Middlesbrough where needed. Now, that journey started, as I say, at a young age, and at a point in time when the ward that I was a young boy in received in excess of £54 million to regenerate and increase a lot of the difficulties we were facing at that time. Now, 54 million over 20 years ago is a significant amount of money. As a result, at that time, the ward was voted as one of the most deprived wards in the United Kingdom. It was in the top 10, so it was given so that substantial amount of cash input to improve local services, to ensure that health inequalities and all other key areas that fall within disadvantaged communities, they had the resources and some input to drastically change the decline that was occurring. Now, that process is still ongoing. Unfortunately, the input has seen nothing like what was promised to the people of the area. The money has been used, been spent and disappeared. As a result, what we've seen is the loss of community facilities such as Winniebanks Youth and Community Centre, which was a critical, pivotal part of everyday life for people in the area. We've seen the removal of youth services, which are essential for our young people to gain the appropriate life skills to socially integrate better within communities and within their own lives. And we're seeing the effects of that now in terms of our young teenagers and the behaviours and the patterns, and if anything, things are getting worse as opposed to better. Now, we also had housing, social housing, that was demolished. In not just social housing, there was a lot of private housing, to the point where people in the area had their private properties removed from them. They went through CPOs, they were called compulsory purchase orders. Now, a lot of the families that were meant to benefit and grow from these interventions were disseminated right across the area. Some have never recovered. What's sad to know is during that period, a lot of the elderly who found it far too stressful lost their lives during it. And I don't say that lightly, and that's not a tactic of trying to make it more a sensitive issue. It's the truth. Pensions removed, removed, and 15 years on from the decline of them housing, we're still only halfway through. And to find out only 3 months ago that housing area had been sold, resold and sold on again to private developers is nothing short of disgusting for what people have had to live through to get to that stage. So I'm wanting to bring a lot of transparency back to the area to ensure that the community that reside here have a constant source of communication in relation to any critical decisions or proposals that are going to happen in and around the Ayresome ward. I'm also very keen to ensure that any new implementations or any areas that are looking to be changed are done so for the betterment of the people and not for the betterment of an agenda that people aren't aware of. For far too long, the people of Ayresome ward have been oppressed. They've been pushed into corners where because of receiving information so late on, or sometimes not even receiving information, have not appropriately been able to act or better protect their own families. And that's something I'm really passionate about. One of the things I will be promising from day one, if I'm elected, is full transparency, openness and communication around all the things that are important to the people of the area. So I'm stepping up, and I'm wanting to make myself available to my people. But I'm also aware that right across Middlesbrough, these issues are starting to roll out into other areas. Over the last 6 months, I've had a number of conversations with many brilliant people, similar people with great skill sets, looking to take back a little bit of their own community, making a stance and trying to ensure that their ward is first and foremost in any discussions or any proposals that are going on within the Middlesbrough area. And I think that's a brilliant thing for people to do. Now, what I would say is there's far too many individuals for me to name in areas. I would certainly not want to upset or forget somebody. So if you listen to this and you're not from the Ayresome ward and you have an interest in what's going on locally, then please look up your own local independent councillor, identify what they're standing for and make the choice. If you feel that those guys are what the area needs, then please make that call. I know what an independent councillor will give. They will give an honest and an impartial input in terms of what is important in your ward, because what might be important in the Trimdon ward or the Acklam ward may not be as critical within the Ayresome ward, and we need local people who know local issues to back what is precious to them. Now, the other great thing about voting independent is you don't have an individual who's driven by a party. That's irrelevant of which national party it is. Local politics is something that has been lost for many years now in terms of national agendas, national drives. And whilst we have to be real and we have to understand that there is a bigger world than Middlesbrough and there is a bigger picture than our own personal wards, local politics should be local politics. And to make sure that occurs, I believe you should be looking to support your local independent councillors and assisting those guys in getting a seat. Because what that will bring again is, if they are voted in, once these discussions for Middlesbrough wide start happening in the town hall, we get a healthier democratic input. You know, we start with individuals that don't always have to agree with each other, and that's healthy. You know, if we live in a world where people say yes to the same thing, creates damage, creates cultures, and sometimes they aren't what's best needed. Sometimes we need people who will stand their own corner for their own cause. I know if I'm successful and voted in, there'll be times where I will be stood shoulder to shoulder with a lot of independent councillors right across the ward. And I'll also know there'll be times where there's debate and conversations where we don't agree, you know, because we need to make sure that what we do is personal for our own potential area. And those are the guys that are driven and are already looking to achieve that element of working for you. So please take the time to have a look locally who's running for your area, and make sure that you do look to vote independent if that candidate you feel is sufficient and strong enough for your own ward. Lastly, strategically, we can make these stances and have people in positions to support us locally. But like anything else, like any network, like any organisation, there are usually very key, strong strategical seats that have a different element of input, and these seats come with not just power, but a healthier position to be able to drive key change across hard to reach sectors. Now, Middlesbrough Council for a very long time has had key strategical seats that have achieved many great things in the area, We've also had times where there's been a lot of conflict and a lot of questions asked in terms of the agenda and the long-term gains from potential developments or proposals. What I will say is there's a guy that I've been working with quite closely over the last couple of months who's running for the Mayor of Middlesbrough, and that's Andy Preston. He's a guy that comes with, he doesn't need to run to be Mayor of Middlesbrough. He wants to run for Mayor of Middlesbrough. Now that brings about a different set of thinking, brings about a different set of agendas and a drive that isn't attached to anything other than a want to do better for Middlesbrough. Now, by ensuring that the strategical seat, such as a mayoral seat, is an independent position, will only further strengthen and empower the wards to be able to represent themselves locally in an independent manner. So what I would say is, please look up Andy Preston. Please give him a search. He's a guy that I will be voting for. He's a guy that I would encourage my ward to vote for, and certainly the rest of Middlesbrough, because with them, with key positions changing, we can bring about the positive energy and the critical drive that's needed for us to take these initial steps of change. But the last key message is we need to vote. The amount of people that I've heard say, oh well, don't worry, it'll happen, you've got it, he's got it. We cannot think that way. Vote equal action, and if we don't vote, there'll be no change, and that'd be sad for everybody who genuinely wants to look to put people in position. So regardless who it is, regardless what party the guys are from, if you want to make sure that your area is being treated and represented in the most appropriate way for you, and you feel that person is the best person to do that, take 10-15 minutes of your day on the 2nd of May and go and make that vote. But what I will say is, if you are wanting individuals with fresh set of ideas, a clean way of thinking, and a drive only for your specific ward, then vote independent. Thank you very much. Cheers.